Justine is a very attractive and interesting woman. There's something about her that lures people and makes them stick around. Michael, her fiancé, looks at her with eyes full of admiration. Her sister Claire is always running around her making sure she's all right. Her boss feels like his company's success is dependent on her. Yet, what is it about Justine exactly? How does she manage to keep all these people fussing around her? And more importantly, why does she need them to? Why does she feel out of place, like she'd rather be anywhere but here, when the idea to have this big and luxurious wedding was hers all alone? Justine wanted a limo for their wedding, but it proved to be very impractical, and now they are 2 hours late to their wedding party. Michael, Justine's husband, is nervous about this situation, but he can't do anything to solve this problem. He looks helpless, even silly.
You want? I think you need that extra.
No, we can.
Throughout the whole film, he's always speaking in a low voice. We can barely hear him. Even his choice of words suggests that he's a bit intimidated by his own bride.
Would you care to make a bid on behalf of your wife?
Oh, I don't dare to do that. I really don't.
We can't help but feel a bit sorry for him because he always looks like a fool, like a husband whose wife is cheating behind his back and he has no idea. Sadly, this is exactly what happens to him shortly after the wedding. Unlike her husband, Justine is enjoying this situation when they get stuck and arrive late. She's having fun in this moment. She loves coming across obstacles. When they appear on her way, she welcomes them. If nothing comes up, she creates them herself. She can be late, miss an important deadline, disregard her duties, and of course, her easiest go-to method in almost any situation is to just look distant and sad and wait for someone to notice this and start worrying about her. She loves sabotaging everything. She loves destruction. That's why the end of the world doesn't terrify her. On the contrary, it's comforting for her. She's almost triumphant when it happens. It's important to note that Justine behaves this way unintentionally, without thinking what her next step is going to be. She truly believes that she just can't help it, that it's the way she is and the way life is.
We're sorry.
But these are just words. Doesn't matter how many times she says sorry, she'll keep doing the things she will later have to apologize for. Her words don't have any intention behind them. They come out of her mouth automatically, effortlessly. It's an easy and quick lie, which is so natural for her to say that she doesn't even flinch as she utters these words.
I won't even bother saying how late you are.
Claire gives her sister a meaningful look, which clearly says, "You always disappoint me," which is probably true. But then, why does Claire keep making arrangements with her sister? Why does she keep helping her if she knows well enough that Justine is not capable of carrying out her promises and showing respect?
Okay, so you want this? Yeah, of course.
This might be a reasonable question coming from Claire. Had it been the first time Justine let her down and showed no respect of the plans they made together? Similar situations when Justine was late or didn't show up at all happened many times before. Claire tries to keep her frustration inside and not show how she really feels, but the responsibility for everything that's happening is hers as well. She should have known better than to rely on her sister. From their conversation, we learn that Justine asked her sister to arrange this wedding for her in this mansion where she lives with her husband and son. That it was Justine's idea to hire
The most expensive wedding planner on the planet.
Claire's husband, John, just like Justine's fiancé, is always speaking quietly, and he's almost completely ignored by his wife.
Well, I wouldn't say that.
Oh, yes, you would.
Claire always looks like she's unimpressed by him.
That's not exactly true. What? Occasionally I take him for a...
bored of him, uninterested in whatever he has to say.
The most expensive wedding planner on the planet.
Okay.
John too kind of seems intimidated by his wife. He's kind of uttering words under his breath.
Just open the door and get in. No, we'll pay for it when you arrive, don't worry about it.
See about that.
As if he wants to express his opinion, yet kind of hopes he wouldn't be heard at all. Being married to John, Claire enjoys the luxury of living in a mansion, having a lot of time on her hands, not having to work. Yet she takes it all for granted and even has the audacity to say that she couldn't care less about the money.
He's filthy rich. He needs to shut up about it. It's not about the cost.
Notice how the two sisters are ungrateful of their husbands, how they both avoid them, don't respect them, and eventually they both end up husbandless.
Okay, so you want this? Yeah, of course.
Justine tries to convince her sister that she really wants this wedding, and they head towards the house. But that would be too easy, too obedient for Justine to do that.
What star is that?
The guests waited for, what, 2 hours already?
Oh, we just have to go to the stables and say hi to Abraham.
Then they can wait some more. Again, we can see frustration on Claire's face, even when she's not in focus. We can feel her irritation. She's almost angry with Justine. But what was she expecting of her sister? It still is her sister. She knows her and how she is. The thing about Claire, she just doesn't want to accept the reality of things. She doesn't want to accept that her sister only cares about herself and just wants attention. It's not just her sister. She still can't accept that her mother and father will always humiliate her in public, that they will never be able to resolve their issues. Claire doesn't let her family members to just be themselves and hopes that things will be different, that she can somehow fix it by being a great sister, a great daughter, a great help in throwing an amazing wedding party. Even though she's an adult, she's still trying to fix her broken family, just like she probably used to do when she was still a child and they all lived under the same roof. She was probably the one who took care of her little sister while the parents were too busy arguing, and she still keeps doing the same thing. Instead, she should have just said no to her sister when she asked her to do all the wedding preparations for her. She should have rejected Justine's idea to celebrate her wedding at her house. After all, it's Justine's wedding, and she should be responsible for it. Maybe, had she actually done something herself for her own wedding, she would have appreciated it a bit more. Claire, instead of doing the work for her sister, should have focused on her own marriage, which already has some cracks, and it's high time she addressed these issues. Claire probably hoped that such a major life event like her sister's wedding day would suddenly make Justine change her behavior, and that their parents would also keep their resentment towards each other to themselves, and that everything would go smoothly. But there was a wild hope. A hope of a little girl whose parents are constantly fighting, and the child believes with all her heart that she can make them stop, and that she can magically save the family. Claire still hasn't given up hope. She still tries and tries so hard, and all her efforts are futile. Unfortunately, since it is an apocalyptic film, Claire will never accept that truth. In a way, she will never get to grow up. Sometimes, for some of us whose families are similar to Claire's, to really grow up is to accept that you can't change your family, and you don't have to do it. And you don't even have to communicate with your family members if they behave in a disrespectful way towards you. Sometimes not talking to them is the best you can do, really. Because you can't force anyone to respect you if they simply don't respect you. In Claire's case, she brings the family together, she organizes everything and tries really hard for everything to be perfect, yet they still come and make it all about themselves. They don't care about their children's feelings. They came to start where they left off. They still want to fight with each other. It's never over between them, despite the fact that they divorced years ago. The two of them are also still children. It is sad to accept that the family you were born into is no happy family, but this realization can help to finally move on with your life, leaving the illusions behind. Claire is a grown woman. She has her own family now, her husband, her son. Yet there's a part of her, a little girl inside her who still wants to experience having a normal, happy family. Of course, she lacked that growing up. Her mother was cold and distant. Her father avoided his responsibilities and played a fool. As hard as it is to accept that ship has sailed years ago, and it's time to stop being a good girl for your parents and sister. She probably thinks that it's her duty to bring them all together and celebrate such an important day, but it's not. It's only important to her. Not to them. Not even to Justine. Claire is wasting too much energy on all of this, and instead she should be giving her energy to her own family, the one she created. She needs to act in her current roles of a wife and a mother. But also, this is where her secondary benefit comes in too.